Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you my WWE NXT review for December 14th, 2016. So I'm making some progress with these videos. I have this episode and 2 more episodes to watch and review. So I'm getting there, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did with my last episode, and I'm gonna watch it in chunks and review small and make small videos about the episode and combine them all into one video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So now that I've kind of talked about that, let's kind of run through the code a little bit about what's going to be on this episode. So this is going to be the starting of the #1 Contenders tournament match that William Regal had talked about on the last episode, where he's going to have 4 matches, and the winner of these 4 matches get into a fatal 4-way match. And I have a picture of it right here. The 4 matches. So we have Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young, a match that makes a little bit of sense considering the fact that when Eric Young and Sanity bursted on the scene, they took out Ty Dillinger the first day, so I actually kind of like that match. And this kind of adds to Ty Dillinger's story. Elias Sampson versus Roderick Strong, which is kind of weird because I believe they're both heels. Elias Sampson I know is a heel, and Roderick Strong is a heel. So it's kind of weird that it's 2 heels going up against each other, but whatever. I like both guys though. Roderick Strong I think is a good wrestler. I've seen a couple of his matches, and Elias Sampson I like the character. And I think he has a great aggressive attitude. We're gonna have Orny Lorcan versus Bobby Roode. Obviously Orny Lorcan I obviously like because of Top Rope Promotions. He was Biff Busick there, and Bobby Roode's really been doing well in NXT. He's probably one of the best things going in NXT. So I like that. I like this. I think this could be a good matchup. And we have Aldrana Cien Almas versus No Way Jose. This is going to be, this is still kind of like vaguely fresh because Aldrana Cien Almas not long ago turned heel. And now it's a new, pretty much Aldrana Cien Almas. And obviously No Way Jose is the fun-loving guy. So those are the 4 matches. They actually sound pretty good. I'm actually looking forward to them. And obviously we're going to have the rematch for the NXT Championship, this time inside a steel cage, taking place in Australia. It's going to be NXT Champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. I can't wait to see this match. It's going to be the payoff to this feud, and I think having it in a cage match is the perfect payoff just because of what they've done. So, yeah, this episode of NXT I think looks really good. So, now that I've kind of talked about it a little bit, let's actually watch the episode and review it. Okay, so before I actually start off the show, I want to talk about this hype video package that they played for the NXT Championship match because it was really good. I really enjoyed this feud between Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe. It shows Samoa Joe winning the NXT Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura at NXT TakeOver Toronto. And then Shinsuke Nakamura saying that he wants to have his rematch in Osaka, Japan. Them arriving in Osaka, Japan, and Shinsuke Nakamura talking about how he's home in Japan and he's going to win back his NXT Championship. It shows Shinsuke Nakamura winning back the NXT Championship from Samoa Joe, becoming a 2-time NXT Champion. And William Regal coming up and saying that Samoa Joe wants his rematch. Samoa Joe saying that he's going to destroy Shinsuke Nakamura and reclaim his NXT Championship. And William Regal announced that there's only one way to settle this. We're going to have this in a steel cage match in Melbourne, Australia. And then, they're off to the fences. So this is kind of like the moment of truth. This is going to be the final matchup in the Shinsuke Nakamura Samoa Joe chapter. And this is going to be a history-making night. Either Shinsuke Nakamura will retain his NXT Championship. Actually, no, Shinsuke Nakamura. If Shinsuke Nakamura wins, he just retains his championship. But if Samoa Joe wins, it will be a history-making night. Samoa Joe will win and become the first ever 3-time NXT champion, and Shinsuke Nakamura will be the shortest reigning champion ever in NXT history. So, it's kind of like the moment of truth. Is that going to happen? We're going to have to wait and see, but I can't wait to see the final encounter, the final chapter between Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura. Let's get it started. Okay, so we have the actual start of the show. We have Corey Graves and Tom Phillips on commentary for this show. And we had the steel cage match for the NXT Championship. NXT champion Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. This match was recorded ahead of time in Australia. So this overall was a good match. They still both start feeling each other out. Nakamura tries to play mind games with Joe by putting his head down and swinging his arms back and forth. But Joe shoves him out of the way. He tries to toss him into the cage, but Nakamura is able to stop himself. And eventually Samoa Joe uses his power and tosses him into this cage spine first. Samoa Joe just dominates the matchup, and then Shinsuke Nakamura starts to make a comeback. He goes, he tries to go for the inverted exploder suplex, but Samoa Joe counters it. But then Shinsuke Nakamura ends up hitting a German suplex on Joe. Samoa Joe kicks out of it. He goes for the Kinshasa, but then Samoa Joe counters into a scoop slam. Samoa Joe gets him into the Korkia clutch, but Nakamura uses the turnbuckle to fight out of it. And then Shinsuke Nakamura tries to escape the cage over the top rope, but then Samoa Joe beats him to the punch and goes for the muscle buster off the cage. But Shinsuke Nakamura is able to fight out of it. He ends up hitting a powerbomb off the top rope on the Joe. And he goes up to the top rope and he hits a Kinshasa from the top rope, which was sick. And he has a chance to go out the door and retain his championship. However, Shinsuke Nakamura chooses to slams the door and wants to finish the match and finish Samoa Joe once and for all. Samoa Joe too was busted open a little bit, which really helped this. And then Shinsuke Nakamura hits another Kinshasa and then a third Kinshasa, covers him, and retains the NXT championship. And I thought this was a really good steel cage match. I thought this was a really good match here. This was, I thought, the perfect way to end off the Shinsuke Nakamura Samoa Joe rivalry, and I'm glad they ended it here. Now that I think the feud's over, I think Samoa Joe, I hope it happens anyways, is going to finally be called up to the main roster. I don't know what they do with him, but I think finally it's time for Samoa Joe to go up to the main roster. He's been in NXT for a while. There's really nothing you can do with Samoa Joe in NXT, so I think it's time for him to go up and dominate the main roster, which I hope happens. And obviously with Shinsuke Nakamura, I would like to see him have a nice long run up until maybe like NXT TakeOver Orlando with the NXT Championship. So that's what I'd like to see. So overall, I thought this was a really good cage match and a really good way to end off the Samoa Joe Shinsuke Nakamura feud. Okay, so now they're back in Full Sail University. And now Percy Watson is joining Phillips and Graves on commentary. Because that cage match was filmed probably ahead of time before he joined commentary, so I just figured I'd mention that. And Billy Kay and Peyton Royce get interviewed, and they get asked, like, do you feel like now that you're not taking over NXT as much as you thought you were since you lost 3 weeks ago? And they said, we didn't lose. Daria lost. And they said that, Daria's the loser and we don't associate ourselves with losers. We're still on track. And Daria comes up and says that I'm not involved in your future plans, but I want to kick one of your asses next week. So you better be prepared. So I thought this was okay here. And then we had the next match. It was a number one contenders fatal 4-way qualifying match. Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young with Alexander Wolf and Nikki Cross. And Ty Dillinger pretty much dominates Eric Young, and Wolf tries to interfere, but Dillinger knocks him off the apron. And eventually Nikki Cross interferes. She gets on Dillinger's shoulders and starts thumbing his eyes. And Ty Dillinger ends up winning the match by disqualification, so he advances. And then Eric Young pulls her off and knocks down Ty Dillinger with a clothesline. But like I said, I don't want to say this. I really didn't care for the finish to this match. I would have. I get you want to protect sanity. You don't want to have any of them lose, but I don't think it was gonna hurt Eric Young all that much, since if he had just lost to Ty Dillinger by a roll up. Ty Dillinger's a decently established star. It wasn't gonna hurt him that much. I would have just rather seen like an actual match than what they did, but continuing, I like what they did afterwards. So then Ty Dillinger fights off Eric Young and Alexander Wolf, and eventually Big Damo comes out and ambushes Ty Dillinger. He lays him out with a wasteland and a senton, and afterwards he looks at Sanity, and it's like he's trying to audition to join Sanity, so he's trying to lay people out, which I kind of like this process. I think eventually they are going to bring him into Sanity, and I think he's going to be a great addition. He's a nice big guy, so I think he's going to be a great addition to Sanity. So overall, the match itself I thought was, obviously was a throwaway match. I didn't care for the finish, but I did like the attack and what they did with Sanity afterwards. Okay, next match was a number one contenders fatal four-way qualifying match. No Way Jose versus Adrana Cien Almas. Overall, this was a good match here. I thought it was okay. It was good. I thought the match delivered, and Adrana Cien Almas wins with the double arm DDT, and gets the victory. And he's going to advance, and he advances and qualifies for next week. So overall, I thought this was good. Okay, so next match was a number one contenders fatal four-way qualifying match. Elias Sampson versus Roderick Strong. And before the match, Elias Sampson has a little promo, I guess I can call it, where he's pretty much performing a concert, talking about, how all this stuff's been new to him, how he's been kind of fading away, but now he has to go back to where he came from, because what NXT needs is what he is. And the match starts, and it was a pretty good match, actually. Elias Sampson dominates a good portion of the match, and then eventually Roderick Strong makes a comeback. He hits a high knee in the corner, a gut buster, and a drop kick for the win. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good match, and now Roderick Strong advances to the Fatal 4-Way match on the next episode of NXT, so that's good. I'm actually happy Roderick Strong went over because I think he needs the momentum, because he's actually a nice, new, fresh guy, so I'm happy about this. Okay, so now we have the main event. It's a number one contenders fatal four-way qualifying match. Oney Lorcan versus Bobby Roode. Overall, I thought this was a good main event. At first, they start wrestling each other, but Bobby Roode's being really cocky, being really full of himself. So Oney Lorcan takes his head off with with an uppercut, and he hits a bunch of elbows in the corner. And eventually, he hits a back suplex, but Bobby Roode kicks out. And he tries to go for a back suplex off the top rope, but then eventually Bobby Roode fights out of it, and Oney Lorcan falls off and ends up getting caught up on the neck first on the ropes. So Bobby Roode dominates the matchup. He goes for a neck breaker, but Lorcan counters into a backslide, and Roode kicks out. And Oney Lorcan then starts making his comeback, and he ends up hitting a wicked neck breaker coming out of the corner. But Bobby Roode kicks out of it, and he goes for a blockbuster, but Bobby Roode moves out of the way and hits a spine buster and the glorious DDT for the win. And Bobby Roode ends up qualifying for the Fatal 4-Way match. So now the Fatal 4-Way match is set. It's going to be Ty Dillinger versus Adrana Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong versus Bobby Roode, and the winner in the elimination match, and the winner is going to face Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Championship. So overall, I thought this main event was a good main event here. So overall, I thought NXT was actually a pretty good show. I actually enjoyed it. We had the great really good NXT Championship Steel Cage match between Nakamura and Joe. And we had the qualifying matches for the Fatal 4-Way, which means that wins mattered. Even though I didn't like the one of the matches, but I thought all the matches other than Young versus Dillinger delivered. And overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode of NXT. If I was to rate it, I would rate it a 7 out of 10. So that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and subscribe to my CM Brothers and Owen the Talking Native channel. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.